So it's been about a month since I last posted because unfortunately I had a little accident on my Vespa and I landed quite heavily on this arm. So if you do see me grimacing at all in this session and the following sessions to come, you will know why. So it's the end of 2025. Most of us are totally exhausted. So I wanted a session where we were lying on our back, tummy up towards the ceiling, where the floor was able to support us while we work. So to that end, just take a moment to understand your scapula or your shoulder blade, which starts about here and is that triangular bone in this area here. So it's a few centimeters down from the top of your shoulder, yeah? And from the moment the scapula or shoulder blade starts, that's the part that I want permanently rooted down on the ground. This is really important in terms of getting an overall stretch and strengthening feel to the torso. If this is not happening in the practice today, then support yourself with something on your pelvis. And the height will of course depend on how far off the ground you find your scapula. So please bear that in mind throughout the practice, and I will of course be reminding you of it. So we're going to start off like so. And to feel the presence of the scapula on the ground, we can just press our elbows like so into the ground, fists up towards the ceiling. Your pelvis is very heavy coming down, and also really press the outer shoulders coming down as well. So you're going to feel a certain amount of activity happening in the torso. And together with that activity, a real stretching out in all directions. So that's the kind of sensation we want to set up for all of this. So without changing unduly what you've set up here in the torso, you can clasp your hands, excuse me, and then start to bring your hands behind your head. Now, some of us are going to have our hands up here because we don't have enough stretch in the shoulders, so that's fine. You could even put a pillow or something under your shoulders to give you a little bit of a supported feel, but otherwise you can bring your arms back. And when we're like this, I want you to try and imagine, particularly in the exhalation through the mouth every now and then, that the chest is moving into your armpits. And all the while, we don't want to lose that heavy presence of the pelvis into the ground. And then on the next exhalation, bringing your knees simultaneously up towards the chest. We obviously lift our feet and activate the feet. Now, I'm wearing nice heavy socks because it's quite cold here at the moment. So you can't see this, but I'm spreading my toes out, trying to give as much distance between each toe possible. And that really activates the feet strongly, and by definition, allows the feet to communicate more concisely with the hips. Now, for some of us, this is really, really easy. For some of us, this is really difficult. So just observe which of these two states or in-between states you are. Obviously, the harder this is, the more you've got to let the breathing go. So focus in on how soft the throat is, and whether you're withholding the inhalation and the exhalation. And then to have a bit of a break, we can bring our hands onto our knees like so. Now, this is the point where we really need to watch, because some of us will automatically bring those scapula up off the ground. Now, if that is happening at all, then you have to have something under your pelvis. And the height of the pelvis brings down more easily the knees towards your chest and allows for those scapula to easily root down into the ground, giving that extension that is so required by our torso. So really observe this connection. The pelvis must still be hitting down strongly into the floor, but at the same time, those scapula, the beginnings of the scapula need to really, really come down. And it's as if, and I've made this analogy before, it's as if you've got a torso that's a rectangular. In any case, it is a rectangle. And you've got the four corners of that rectangle on the ground, namely the two hips and the two shoulders. So really feel that. And then you can clasp your hands again, maybe the different clasp. So whatever thumb was in front before, you now put the other thumb in front. And you come back yet again for another stretch, pressing down with the pelvis and the scapula onto the ground. Feeling the innate geometry that is your torso. Watch the breathing, watch how soft the throat is. And then you can put your hands on the knees again, observing what the torso does as a reaction to this movement of the hands onto the knees. Okay, now if you're supported with something under your hips, leave it there, because we're going to come back with our arms again, this time separating our hands and bring our legs up. And I'd like your legs as straight as possible, although for some of us this is really, really difficult. So if you can't do it, please bring in a bend, but keep your feet as active as possible. Believe you me, I know you can't see it, but my feet are really, really working very hard. It's a flexed foot. And then from there, what I would like is to bend the legs without lifting the pelvis, without lifting the scapula off the ground, and trying to squeeze the knees and the thighs as close towards one another as possible. And you can do this strongly until you come down, and then you can relax. So by squeezing the knees and the thighs together, you really set up a chain reaction throughout the leg. And you feel this most strongly in the hips. The hips are essentially from outward to inward, pushing together like so. So this is very, very strong work for the hips. Unless, of course, I say your hips kind of find this action easy. And don't forget that I think there's about 20 different hip structures available to the human race. So go figure. One more time. So legs up, either partially bent or completely straight. Activate the feet. And then really squeezing the knees, squeezing the hips together, squeezing the thighs. Slowly, we're going to bring the knees towards the hips until we come down into that bent-legged position, Vajrasana. Bring the hands over. Retake your knees again, and then remember the final touch is to bring the scapula down onto the ground. Observe your breathing. See how soft your tummy is. Enjoy the support of the floor underneath you. Now, I did say one more time, but this time it is one more time. So bring your hands up, back behind your head. Legs extended up towards the ceiling. Separate the toes, flex the feet. Really absorb the feet into the hips. I want you to imagine that somebody has placed a weight on the feet, and that weight is drawing the feet into the hips, making the hips really, really heavy. And then squeezing the knees, squeezing the thighs, squeezing the hips. We're going to slowly start to bring the knees towards the chest as we bend the legs. And when you're down, you can retake your knees again. And now another exercise that we have done in the past, which involves one of the legs being bent and one of the legs being straight. So for the sake of argument, the right leg will be straight, pointed up to the ceiling, and the left leg will be bent. Again, if you have got support under your hips, just leave it. Now keep your legs pretty close together for this. Remember to keep your feet totally flexed so they become a part of the hips. And then on the next exhalation, you're going to slowly start to bring the right leg down towards the ground without touching the ground. And as you do so, the left knee draws towards the chest, and then you can come up. Now this is quite strong, so it's hard to remain soft in the throat, though do try. And again, keep a clear cycle of breathing going. So don't go into apnea, don't hold your breath. Come up. And the hard thing about this is the more your leg goes down, the more it drags the other leg with you. And you've got to resist that. One more time. And then you can change legs. So coming down now with the left leg as the right knee draws towards the hips. Now this is fantastic for the torso in general. My back is clicking and cricking like fireworks at the moment. Again. Coming up. And one more time. And then coming up, bending both legs, and then just bring your hands onto your knees again, and focusing on the scapula that comes down towards the ground and really roots there together with the hips. So you see that although there's a lot of work going on in the hips, this really is total therapy for the torso, the extension of the spine, the widening of the spine, strong use of the abdominals and of the back muscles generally as well. Okay, so last exercise we're going to do is again bringing your hands behind you, bringing your mental presence into the scapula. We're just going to bring our knees out to the side while our feet close together. So doing essentially Baddha Konasana, but not sitting, rather we're lying. So press the feet into one another as the knees come out to the side. And remember, your pelvis is still pressing down into the ground, and also the scapula. And then you can bring your knees together. Try to keep your feet in the same position in the air. So don't break the feet too far away from you as you bring your knees together. Spend a moment or two listening to your breathing, feeling what the torso is doing. And then again, opening your knees out to the side, bringing your feet together. Feeling the pelvis press down, feeling the scapula press down. And then bringing your knees towards one another. Don't displace the feet too much away from you. And one last time. Bring the feet towards one another as the knees come out to the side. And then close your knees. Bring your feet down, bring your hands onto your tummy. Feel the whole of your torso rest upon the ground. Enjoy this relaxation. And then to come out, lift your head with your hands. And then with the support of your hands behind you, you can just come and sit up. So I hope that's brought some life and energy into your torso, into your rectangle, your two corners up here, your two corners here, and what's in between. And can I take this opportunity to wish you all the best in 2026. See you soon.